Hey, what's up guys? In this video we're going to be going over the vintage compressor module in Ozone 7. It is right here, and what makes a vintage compressor vintage is that it uses a feedback detection circuit design as opposed to a feed-forward design used in digital compressors. A feedback detection algorithm is kind of difficult to implement, but it does sound a lot more natural, air quotes natural, and more like non-linear and more analog. It doesn't sound as pumpy, and it's kind of hard to get wrong, um, and it sounds vintage. So yeah, basically with any kind of compressor, you have your threshold, which is when an audio level goes above the line. When it goes above the threshold, then it is attenuated, and what dictates the attenuation is the ratio. So if it's 1 to 1, there's no gain reduction, and as you increase the ratio, you get more dB of gain reduction per dB. It goes over the threshold. So a gentle ratio would be, 2 to 1, for example. 4 to 1 would be a bit more aggressive. 10 to 1 is very aggressive, and as you go up and up and up, you get more kind of gain reduction. And if you go to, like, say, infinity to 1 or a very large ratio, then you have limiting. But we will get into that later. Attack is how slow the compressor is. I'll give you an example. So if you have my little track here, so you can notice right there, you got that line up top, tells you, lets you know visually the gain reduction, what's going on. So we had the audio going above the threshold. We have the red line coming here, which tells you that there's gain reduction. And yeah, we have, gain reduction going on. The attack lets us know how fast it takes for the level to drop. Think of it as like you're manually turning up and down the gain. And someone who's really fast will have 0.1 milliseconds reaction time. It's basically reaction time. And that kind of kills the transient. So you want to kind of preserve that punch of the kick going on, right? There's plenty of other compression videos that explain this. So I'll move on, but that's the basic kind of rundown. Release is how fast it takes for the gain to go back up, for the compressor to release. So you have your attack and release, and that's dictated by the threshold and the ratio. I go into more, I might go more in depth with this later, but I also have other videos that explain this visually using white noise and such. But yeah, okay. We have our mode here, and this is kind of like it dictates what kind of internal ballistics we want to use. So think of each one of these as a vintage compressor type. Sharp preserves the transients, preserves that snappiness of the kick. So if something you want something punchy and like rocky, or like, EDME, that's a term, it'll preserve those transients and kind of release really fast, and make it more dynamic. It kind of preserves the dynamics more in terms of the transients. Balanced is kind of it's a balance between having the body of the track preserved, so you have like a lot of bass or something like that going on, and smooth is on the opposite end, where it puts an emphasis. Look at that, an emphasis on the body of the signal, getting left dynamics but a fuller sound, right? So 3 kind of modes there. You want to be kind of subtle with this. You can bring it down. It's more of a complement to your sound, just to kind of smooth out the dynamics. An example would be if you have like a rock track or something, and you got like vocals. The vocalist just is screaming into it. I'm thinking of I'm drawing a blank here, which isn't anything new. Aerosmith. Think of like Aerosmith, where like starts out kind of soft, and then he gets really into it. It kind of rides the audio in a pleasing and natural way. And you want like this isn't like what you'd use. Well, you can, but it's not something that you would use to, squish the dynamics and have this just by itself. It's a complement. And then you have your gain and your automatic makeup gain. So what this button does is when you have it engaged, it compensates the gain reduction, and however much is being reduced, it will, however much the sound is being reduced, it will boost the gain. So it's kind of like that button in Ableton for your compressor. So that with it off, there's no gain reduction. It actually gets quieter, but with it on, it will compensate. Right, adding to the fuller sound. You have your detection filter right here. So detection filters are not in the analog world. They're not perfect. So this is the detection filter that's being fed into the feedback that's being brought back in to tell you how much your sound is going over the threshold. These were not ever perfectly flat. So you have a bit of control over here. You can solo this. Right? If you don't want the bass to be affecting the gain reduction too much, you can high pass that. Or you can leave it in, but you high pass that a little bit, you can kind of accentuate. If you want the vocals to be the main focus of what the gain reduction is doing, you can boost the vocals. And if you have too much high end, that's kind of having a little bit too much pumpiness, or like eating up too much of your what's going into the detection circuit for gain reduction, then you can kind of fix that here. Really, it just kind of like adds to the sound a bit more and makes it sound more natural. Yeah. So again, the detection isn't linear. It's not a flat response, I should say. Anyway, that is the vintage comp. Hope you learned stuff. Take care and have a good one.